Hello everyone, happy Halloween, welcome back to another video, and today once again we're going to be discussing Storm Ciarán, which is the third named storm of the storm season so far, and likely to bring some pretty severe weather to parts of the UK, especially the southern UK. I'm going to start off by looking at the Metalverse weather warnings in effect, and you can see we've got quite a few various different warnings across large parts of the UK. You see we have some rain warnings, which are kind of across parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England and Southern Scotland and parts of North Wales there. And generally we're going to be seeing as much as 40mm of rain in these areas, falling on pretty saturated ground, which could cause some flooding issues, as you can see, perhaps as much as 60mm over high ground in this yellow warning, and then the final yellow warning of rain, perhaps as much as 80mm over the higher ground. So a fairly wet day across more northern parts could bring some flooding issues, though the main focus is going to be across the south. You can already see we have a yellow warning of wind, which is kind of across parts of South Wales, southern England, just about through London there, and then into parts of eastern England and East Anglia. And you can see in this warning we're expecting gusts of 60 to 70 miles an hour in coastal areas, and then inland areas could see generally gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And then along kind of English Channel coasts, those gusts are likely to be higher. And then we also have a yellow warning of rain across the south here, with perhaps 20 to 30mm quite widely, and then more than that on higher ground, as much as 80mm across parts of Wales in a few spots. But the main kind of concern is the wind, and we have two amber warnings of wind out. The first one comes into effect from 3 AM, and this is across parts of just kind of the southwest tip of Wales there, but mainly across southwest England, as you can see there. And this comes into force at 3 AM. Expires at 1 PM in the afternoon, so generally through the morning and into the afternoon we're going to see the strongest winds in kind of this zone of southwest England and Wales. And you can see here 70 to 80 miles per hour gusts are likely, 65 to 75 miles per hour inland, and also perhaps in excess of 85 miles per hour along some kind of exposed locations on the coast. And also mentions the kind of low confidence in this forecast. You can see a sharp cutoff is expected, so kind of uncertain, and these warnings could change depending on the latest kind of models during tonight and into tomorrow. And if we take a look at the kind of warning here on the likelihood and impact matrix, you can see it has a low likelihood, so low confidence on the forecast, but a high impact, which, like I explained yesterday, kind of means that the impacts of the storm could be pretty bad, but there's not a lot of confidence on the exact forecast right now. The second amber warning of wind kind of extends along much of the south coast, including some pretty major cities like Portsmouth and Brighton there, and then into parts of Kent and up kind of just around to parts of eastern England, Essex, that kind of region. And you can see here, taking a look at the details on this one, comes into force at 6 AM on Thursday, expires at 8 PM, so pretty much an all-day Thursday thing, which is kind of concerning considering there's going to be people going to school, commuting, coming back from school, etc, etc. And you can see for this warning we're expecting to see winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour along the coast, and similarly to the last one, 85 miles per hour in the most exposed areas. And then also mentions kind of the uncertainty, so these warnings could change, and similar situation here. Given it's a high impact warning, if the confidence does increase during the course of this evening and into tomorrow, there's a small chance we could see a red warning, though me personally, unless something kind of major changes, I'm not really expecting it. But it's worth saying that because we've had so much rain recently, approaching kind of almost record levels of kind of rain for autumn, what that will mean, and also because the trees are kind of closer to full leaf, is that these trees will be more vulnerable to falling over, so perhaps the impacts will be worse than kind of if this storm were to occur in like a dry spell in January. So those are the warnings done. If we take a look at the live satellite image, this is from windy.com, you can see where our storm is right now. We've got this pretty kind of long elongated frontal zone, which was initially the focus for storms to develop, because we kind of got that the storm to develop because we had that temperature contrast on either side, and then we had a upper level disturbance kind of interact with that frontal zone, and now we have a low developing fairly nicely. You can see kind of hints of that really classic low pressure look. You kind of have a large area of cloud and precipitation starting to develop, and you can kind of see those clouds are moving fairly quickly like that, where we've got our jet stream starting to kind of interact with this storm. And likely by this time tomorrow we're going to be seeing a kind of pretty impressive curl of cloud this will kind of likely start to kind of curl around like that and kind of clear in. So this is the kind of beginnings of the storm right here, and if we take a look at the surface pressure chart, you can see here's our storm in the corner, kind of hard to see exactly, but that little L right there, actually I think I'm looking at a couple of old charts. If I just update this, sorry, maybe it's not come through yet. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is the chart from 4 o'clock, and you can see that little L there. Actually, sorry, let me change the colour of the pen again. That little L is our low, and those kind of red colours are kind of represent where the jet stream is currently. So you can see it's right now in the middle of the jet stream, being carried by wind speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour at that level. So it's going to be pushed towards the UK rapidly. So here's the jet stream chart from netweather.tv. You can see where those white colours are. We've got the strongest winds, and our low is kind of located in this zone right here, and it's just going to be kind of pushed very quickly across the Atlantic through the course of tomorrow, where it will eventually kind of start to cross the jet stream actually here, and when that happens, the kind of upper level pattern will be very, very favourable for rapid deepening. So the upper level pattern kind of supports large amounts of kind of air being removed and kind of rising motion, which means the pressure at the surface is lower. So that's what's going to be happening as it crosses the jet stream, especially if it manages to kind of get into this little area right here. That's going to be most favourable for lowering the pressure, and then what happens is that jet stream starts to kind of bend to the south during Thursday, which kind of leaves the low storm Ciarán more kind of on its own outside the jet stream. So then it eventually starts to linger kind of across the UK, or generally to the northeast, more slowly. So you might be wondering then, what kind of wind speeds will we be seeing? What areas are going to see the wind speeds? And it's kind of hard to say right now exactly, because if I show you this chart here, you'll kind of realize that there is quite a lot of uncertainty still in the forecast. So this is a Dalmatian plot from the European model. It's a very kind of useful thing for looking at the different possible scenarios of a low pressure system and what it can take. And each of these different circles and kind of coloured circles represents a different position which each ensemble member has. So basically a model has lots of kind of mini models within it, which are the ensemble members, and together they make up the entire model. And each time you run the model, it also runs the ensembles with slightly different starting conditions, which gives us a better idea of the different scenarios. And so, as you can see here, some of the ensemble members have a path of the low. Oh, by the way, the colour kind of represents the pressure. So these orange and kind of red colours indicate quite a deep low, kind of around 965 to 955 millibars, in that general range. But as you can see here, the kind of positions or these circles are fairly spread out. Usually at this kind of time range, you would expect something generally kind of a bit closer than this. But as you can see, the track of the low could be something across the North Midlands and Wales with these strongest winds, then into kind of more of southern England. But at the same time, we also have some more southerly going ensemble members, as you can see those there, which would then bring most of the strong winds into the Channel and northern France. So actually there's still quite a lot of uncertainty on the exact track of the low. And if I show you the kind of American models version of this, which is kind of looks slightly different, but it's basically the same thing. The different kind of circles are representing the different ensemble members. What you can see here is we still have a pretty large spread in the track. Scenarios kind of from the low moving all the way through parts of Wales with strong winds in this region, to the low kind of taking the operational run, which I'll show you in a bit, which kind of brings basically the strong winds just into Channel and France. And then you can see in between that there's a lot of variation exactly where it will be. And you may be thinking this much difference isn't really important, but because the kind of south side of the low is very close together, any change north or south could have a very big impact. Because let's say there is a kind of 70 to 80 mile per hour wind in the Channel and along the south coast. That's going to be pretty bad, but not as bad as if that was 50 miles north and we had 70 mile per hour winds going into parts of the densely populated areas of kind of inland southern England. So that's why it's a really kind of important thing to get a good idea of where the storm's going. And even right now we still have a fair amount of spread, and actually the kind of operational run, so the main GFS run, is even kind of on the southern end of that in itself, so kind of raises questions to how exactly trustworthy or reliable that model is. But that kind of being said, we're going to start looking at some of the different solutions now. I'll start off with the GFS model here. This is the wind gust chart, so it kind of gives you an idea of those wind speeds, and you can clearly see Storm Ciarán moving up. Let me change the colour of this pen. Storm Ciarán moving up. This is on Wednesday night, and it's rapidly deepening. We get initially some strong winds across parts of southern England there ahead of it. Nothing too strong, kind of 50 mile an hour or so. But the strongest winds in this particular kind of scenario are actually across parts of northwest France and the Channel. And then we do actually still get some pretty strong winds into parts of the south and southeast there. And then also on the backside across the southwest. So this is one scenario. Let me just zoom in on England to make you kind of see a bit better. And you can see generally the worst affected areas here would be the south coast. And that would be during the day, kind of the morning on Thursday. If I show you the French model, this is a slightly more concerning scenario here. There's our low, very deep, moving through parts of central southern England at during Thursday morning. But initially, look how it brings some very, very strong winds to parts of the southwest. This would be in excess of 90 to 100 miles per hour. And then also we get those kind of strong winds across parts of southeast England there, as you can see. And in this particular one, also brings some pretty strong gusts to this area of the south coast in excess of kind of 70 to 80 miles an hour, especially this kind of region here. And this general area, which I've just kind of circled in black, is the kind of strongest confidence on being very strong winds. And if I had to guess where they would put a red warning, not saying they will, but if they did, it would probably be in this zone. So if you're kind of within this area, definitely prepare for a pretty nasty storm on Thursday. But you can see how on this particular run we also get strong winds spreading into kind of parts of eastern England there. And me personally, I currently believe this is probably the most likely solution. So very strong winds during Thursday morning across the southwest, and then very strong winds along the south coast and into parts of southeast England. And for more of the inland areas, you can see kind of depends exactly how far north the storm gets. But on this particular scenario, we'd be kind of seeing 50 mile an hour gusts kind of along the line from the Isle of Wight through London to parts of kind of East Anglia there. So generally this area of kind of central southern England shaded here, not expecting too much at the moment, more kind of areas to the south of that. If I show you some more models, this is the high resolution French model, also shows a similar picture, concerningly strong winds across parts of the southwest there, 90 to 100 miles an hour. That's really not good. And then also similarly very strong winds across the south coast there, as you can see. So you can really kind of quite clearly see why the Met Office have put those amber warnings there, because that is just where the strongest winds look likely to be, but also some pretty strong winds into parts of the southeast there. If we take a look at the German model, you can see, interestingly, it's a kind of bit further south actually. You can see more in the Channel, and I would even kind of say this is more south than likely. If anything, it will be more north, but this still brings part of southwest England and this area of the south coast under the gun for some very strong winds, and also across parts of northwest France, but this channel does not forecast for France, so that's why I'm not really talking about it. So that's kind of the general situation. We know now there's going to be a very deep low, that's for certain. We also know for sure that the UK will be affected, especially in these amber zones. But what's still kind of a question mark is the exact strength of the low, and the exact kind of timing, because the jet stream, while this kind of looks fairly simple on this chart, the interactions of a low with a jet stream are very, very complex. There's lots of different things, kind of even precipitation can have kind of effects on the kind of heat in the atmosphere, which kind of changes the energy, and basically so much stuff can occur that you can kind of get a knock-on effect. So there is still some uncertainty on exactly how the jet stream will interact with the low and cause it to kind of the path of it, and also how deep it will go. And if I show you this chart here again, just for a reminder, you can see what we're talking about there. It could be really anywhere from here to here, and so aside from the south coast and the southwest, we don't quite know how bad it will be yet. But I think the best bet is basically, if you're along the south coast, prepare for a pretty bad storm. Same in the southwest, and then kind of areas in the yellow warning generally expect gusts of around 50 miles an hour or so, and the stronger the further to the coast and the further south you are. So I'll do another update tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a much better picture on the storm by then. But thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Bye bye.